I never thought that talking to strangers would change my life, but it did. And it all started with one moment at a men's group. Now, looking back, before I began my YouTube journey, I was able to attend all these different men's groups, which I may have mentioned in my previous videos. But it was actually through these men's group meetings that I attended, watching them break down, feeling safe in a space where they weren't being judged, they were vulnerable, and having a safe space where they could just share what they were going through, the emotions, depression. Just hearing their stories was so powerful. And that's when it hit me. That was the turning point for me, realizing that after discovering that places like this existed to help men out with their own mental struggles and challenges that they're going through, I thought, what about the men that are at home who are sitting in silence, not knowing what to do, not knowing how to deal with it? Who do they call without being mocked or laughed at, taken the piss out of, when really they just want someone to just hear them? Even if it meant saying nothing, just being there to listen to someone rant or vent or just let it all out, and just be there, sit in that moment with them. Watching all these things unfold was definitely the turning point for me to where I am today. And what stemmed from attending all these meetings was the birth of me following into something which led into something that I never expected would, which was starting up a podcast. And the reason for me starting a podcast was because although I got to discover these places and all the different men's groups that were out there, it was limiting because I actually did the research myself, and not everyone's going to go out there to look for these places that exist. In most cases, some cases, there'll be wives that are looking for places like this for their husbands, for their partners, or parents who, for their sons, uncles. And I felt like there was a gap where I wanted to do something and start a podcast show where I could get some of these men's stories, because I know the stories that they shared in these different circles, men's circles, was so powerful. The message and that, what you go through, what you get to learn, about yourself, and understand where the pain's coming from, and the emotions of what they're dealing with, how they help each other with all the different tools that are available. And I just wanted to kind of, with their permission, share their stories outside of the circle so other people could kind of discover their circle and become a part of it, where they can feel safe and not be judged for what they're going through. So yeah, it was pretty much from, it did start from YouTube was the starting point, and then attending these men's groups, which was then what led to doing something even bigger, and that was to start up a podcast. And now it's leading into YouTube videos. So I just wanted to kind of share some parts of the journey of the lead up, the build up towards why I wanted to share my journey, my YouTube journey, as from where it all started from. And, bit by bit, I eventually got to catch up with individuals who shared their stories on the podcast show, and also the founders who started it, how it started, well, where did it come from, and just everyone's message, everyone's story has a message, a powerful message. And that was pretty much the turning point that really changed everything for me to really get on board and start something like a podcast, and now starting a YouTube video journey, just to kind of help people who are thinking about wanting to start their own journey. Then, this is just parts of what I'm trying to do and sharing bits of it. I've still got a lot of work on wanting to do my YouTube videos, but while I'm still learning the process, because it's completely different to like doing a podcast. Here it's more about sharing, me personally, just sharing my story of what led up to building a podcast show, and then leaning into other things along the way to share and break down step by step as we get further into my journey. So yeah, just kind of wanted to break down just another section or segment of what my journey has been like. What I'm continuing to work towards is continue to share my story and grow and see, like, I kind of want to see the growth now from starting these YouTube videos myself now as well, because you don't get to see it on the podcast because you're just literally just interviewing. The only things, my takeaways are the messages that I get from them, which is really powerful stuff. Some of the tools I get to use myself. And then just knowing, looking at myself and watching what areas I can improve on, what better questions to come up with. So yeah, just kind of wanted to break down the journey of how the creativity of a podcast stemmed from a conversation that I had with a stranger within a men's group. So the journey continues, and if you're on board, by all means, please leave a comment down below, and maybe share your journey too, as I'd like to continue to share mine with others. I'm only wanting one person that would like to connect with me, and maybe one day we could collab and you can join me on the podcast show, or vice versa. So until my next one, stay cool.